Hey guys, I'm just waiting to see if a few of you are going to jump on. Pretty new to this live. Okay, I'm going to start. So I did a post in the group a few weeks ago, and there was 5 things that I wanted you guys to actually vote on. And the biggest thing that came up for people, and the biggest thing that people wanted to talk to me about, was overwhelm and self-sabotage, and how you overcome it. Oh my goodness, these things are massive, and they're huge. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're doing it. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're in self-sabotage, or the reason why we've stopped something or we haven't done, or we've had so much resistance to doing something, is that we're in massive overwhelm. So this is something that we have all felt, like all felt. There is not somebody on the planet that has never gone through this. And for some people it gets way too much, and it gets to a stage where it's almost paralyzing, and you find yourself, and just think about the times that you have known you've been in self-sabotage, or you know you've been in overwhelming, and things are going really, really good, and you're just flowing, and everything's happening, and you've got these great ideas, and things are just beautiful. It's just coming along, and you're getting to a stage, and you're starting to hit some goals, and you're starting to make that progress in your life, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a place and you're just going, what the hell? How did I get here? How did this happen? You know, how did it get to a stage where a few weeks ago I was just in massive flow, and I was having breakthroughs, and the ideas that I were having, and everything was just great, everything was just fantastic, and all of a sudden I'm sitting here and I've self-sabotaged myself, or something's come up and I've justified it, or yeah, it's really hard to understand. And sometimes we don't even know we're in it. We don't even know that we're in that self-sabotage, or the reason why we stopped is because we've just had massive overwhelm. And what's happening there, hey Brenda, and what's happening there is that your subconscious has got to a stage when you've been in the flow, and you've been having those breakthroughs, and you've been hitting those goals, and your subconscious has now gone, ooh, hang on a minute, we're going into that zone that I'm not comfortable with. I'm not happy with where we're going right now. I want to keep you safe, so I'm going to basically throw in a little bit of overwhelm and a few of these thoughts here and these feelings, and I'm going to just sort of kick you into self-sabotage, because, hey sweetheart, because this is where I know, and this is where I know you're safe, and this is where I want to keep you, because my job as your subconscious is to keep you safe. So it's actually doing its friggin' job. So that's why all of a sudden when we're going on the flow, and we're about to sort of like, it's almost like you're standing on a cliff and you're about to take that last step to launching yourself, and you know that you're about to have that breakthrough, you know you're about to hit that next big goal that you've always looked at and gone, oh my God, that scares the shit out of me. Or something's about to happen in your life that that you're about to finally do, or even as simple as you started that book and you're halfway through it and you never finish it, and you've got like 3 friggin' books going and you don't know why. Things like that, and your subconscious kicks in. That's what's happening. It's going to trying to protect you. So it's self-sabotage is, I'll just break them down for you briefly. So self-sabotage is when you're creating something bigger in your life, in an area, and you're really, really, really close to breaking through. Like you feel it, you can taste it, and then something just holds you back, and keeps you in your comfy zone, like I explained before. And unfortunately, when it does that, you don't grow, and you look back in 6 months' time and you go, the frig am I in the same place that I was? Oh, mosquito. Bali, you get mosquitoes. Sorry, guys. They went straight for me. And you find yourself in the exact same spot that you were 3, 6 months, a year ago, and you look back and you go, well, I started doing that, and for some reason I just stopped, and I don't know why. That's self-sabotage. And some people watching this video might actually be in self-sabotage right now. You know what? That's okay. If you're in self-sabotage in your life, in your business, in your relationship, just acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you're in self-sabotage. And I like to actually journal around it and then release it and step back into it and step back into what you're doing. A lot of people do programs. Like I did well, it was a 5-day, but it ended up being a 7-day mindset awakening program. And a lot of people went into self-sabotage in that. And that's okay. It's okay. Oh my goodness, it happens to me. It happens to everybody. So the biggest thing to do is to acknowledge what's happening to you right now and acknowledge that you're in it and set it free. Just release it and move on. So overwhelm is pretty much the same, but it's more so when we set such high expectations on ourselves, when we have goals so big that our subconscious is just going, whoa, or we have, and you know what, they're usually ones you can meet, but it's because it's so far out of your comfort zone that you're thinking, it's just a little bit too much. But you know what, you could actually do them if you just retrained and rewired yourself. And overwhelm is when we feel like we've got so much on our plate, like it's just so much, and you look at that to-do list and you just go, holy shit, really? I've got all that to do? Hey Tara, hey beautiful. And you've got all that to do and you just go, oh, it's just so much. Really, I'm never going to do that. And what happens? In steps overwhelm and you just shut down. Hey beautiful. You just completely shut down and you find that excuse to stop. You find that excuse and oh my God, this is something I used to do so much. Like I would find that excuse just to stop me. And you can justify it. I mean, I am somebody that, believe me, I'm an ex-addict and an ex-alcoholic, and I can justify anything. And we just find it. And basically, it's our subconscious, once again, has just gone, okay, not liking this at all. You're really sitting on that wedge, and you're about to break through, and I'm not happy with where you're sitting. So I'm going to throw in a little bit of overwhelm because I want you back because I want to keep you safe. Once again, it's its job. So it's actually doing its job. So these things, overwhelm also, it results in negativity, procrastination, complaining, stress, blaming others. I used to do that. Oh my goodness, when I was in overwhelm, I used to blame others. I'd be like, oh well, they gave me too much to do, or yeah, me too, babe. I am just justifying why I didn't do this, justifying why I didn't go to the gym, justifying why I didn't stick to my healthy eating, justifying why I didn't get on that call and ring that person, justifying why I didn't do posts. Massive justification. And we can always justify it, but we're actually in overwhelm. And that's why our subconscious is going, I'm going to help you out. And it pushes it into the conscious. So you're actually doing it and you're flowing into it. It's like self-sabotage, and you're not even realizing you're doing it. Unhappiness and fatigue. There are other really massive ways that results in overwhelm. So you'll find yourself saying things like, you're in overwhelm, you find yourself saying things like, oh, I can never get that done. I just can't handle this. This is just too much. This is just too friggin' much. It's way too much. I can't do this myself. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Notice all the can'ts. Notice, and I didn't say that word either, it's the can'ts. Or the I never, or this is just too much. All the negative connotations. And that's what we end up doing to ourselves. And that's what we're feeding our mind. And as we're feeding our mind with the I can't, I'll never get this done, guess what? You're not. So the biggest thing to do, which I'll go through, is to retrain. And the biggest thing is to retrain your subconscious. So this is something that, as I said, that we do to ourselves, and we do not sometimes know we're actually doing it. So we need to get crystal clear on what we want, who we are, and what we need to do to move forward. We need to acknowledge when we're in it. We need to realize what we're doing, and that is the biggest thing, is having what's the word I'm looking for? It's having having the, I suppose, the mindset to know that this is what you're doing. It's acknowledging it, because that's the biggest thing we can do, is we can keep justifying it, we can keep blaming others, we can keep just thinking, oh, it's just too much for me. You know what, it's friggin' not. When you have a clear structure, when you declutter, when you have your why is so much bigger than your why not. Like, yeah, Tara, absolutely, complete clarity on who you are, where you want, and what you're doing, and where you want to go. Like, when you've got that end result in mind, and when you've got that end picture in mind, and like when you've got that why that is so much bigger than your why not, you can push through. You can connect to that. You can use the tools that you know that is what I want to be. That is where I'm going, and no matter what happens, nothing is going to stand in my way. So when you connect to all those, yeah, Tara, why? Why is massive. And when someone said to me, what is your why? And I'm like, oh, you know, it's to retire my mum, it's to pay off her mortgage. It was quite, to me, it seemed like it was really deep, and to me, it seemed like it was my why. And I did a lot of personal development with a couple of different network marketing company I was with. And I didn't really go deep. I didn't really understand how big my why needed to be. And once I got so crystal clear on my why, and once I decluttered my life, that was the biggest thing. So these are things that I did and I do to overcome, because I still have overwhelm. I still have self-sabotage. It just steps up to each level. It just gets bigger and bigger. So the different things I did is I decluttered. I decluttered my house. I decluttered my mind. I started doing my daily mindset routine. I started journaling every single day. The biggest thing I did was I did my new identity. Now, this new identity was something that it connected with my heart. And once you connect your heart and your head, you will be unstoppable. So I did my why, and it was my why on me. It was why on my family. It was my why on my business. It was my why. It was my feelings. It was everything, and it was my new identity, and my new identity of who I wanted to be, who I wanted to become, what I needed to do to get to that person. Now, once you know your identity and you know your why, don't worry about the how. It'll just all happen. Trust me, it will all happen. So once I did my new identity and I did my why, and then I did my non-negotiables. Now, these were my non-negotiables to people in my life, because, it might be my connection, Tara. I am Bali, you know what Bali's like. Can everybody else hear me okay? Can everyone else just let me know if you can hear me, because Tara's having a few problems. What was I saying? So yeah, so once I connected, I did my non-negotiables. So my non-negotiables were to who was in it. Now, my environment was massive. Environment for me is absolutely key. Absolutely key. So I did my non-negotiables for people in it. I did my non-negotiables for me. I did my non-negotiables for who I wanted to be. I did my non-negotiables for things I would and would not have in my life. Thanks, Angie. Am I too loud? No, joking. And I did that. And then I decluttered my whole life. I decluttered, and I wouldn't go as far to say that I moved to Bali to declutter my life. I more so decluttered what was in my mind. So I got rid of all the negative feelings and the negative thoughts. And if you're not journaling now, I highly, highly, highly recommend journaling. It just gets rid of all the shit you've got going on in your mind, and it frees it up to let so much more in it. And you can also understand how you're feeling and what you're doing too, and why you do certain things when you just get it all out of your mind. So that was another big thing I did. What else? That was probably the main things. I mean, for self-sabotage and overwhelm, when you understand that you're about to go into it, and you understand the pattern that leads to why you are actually doing it, it can save you from actually going into it. So if you do what I've talked about, and you have all the different strategies set up for what you want to do in your work, in your business, you connect with your why, you do all that I've spoken about above, then you'll actually find that you'll actually know when you're about to go into it. You'll be able to stop yourself from going into it, and you'll be able to basically redirect those thoughts and feelings. Or you'll be able to then go, okay, so I'm going into that place that I know I'm going into. What do I need to do? Do I need to stop, or do I need to take away the high expectations I'm setting for myself? Is there too many things on my mind? Am I prioritizing right? What is my environment like? Have I set the personal boundaries? That's another massive one, is setting personal boundaries. Because if you don't set personal boundaries, you'll realise that you're saying, yes, 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 I'll do that. Yes, 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 no, I'll do that. Yep, no worries, I'll do that. And you say yes so much, when you start to need to start saying no. Say no. Don't be afraid to say no. You know what? In life, we just want to please. We want to please everybody. And it's a great thing to have, and it's a great thing to please people. But you know what? Sometimes you've got to say friggin' no. Because if you say yes all the time, you'll find that, once again, you'll have this massive list of things you have to do, and you're not having enough time for you. And we forget that we are the most important thing. We are the most important thing. And when you start saying no and you start focusing more on you, you'll find you won't go into overwhelm so much, because you won't have so much to do. You'll be able to, basically, you'll be able to have that time for you. You'll be able to be able to do the things that you want to do for you, instead of always doing everything for everybody else, and you're always the one that never gets the little boy or girl inside you never actually gets acknowledged. You never get to do what you want, and that can actually piss you off without even realizing. So that's probably the main things that will stop you from going into it. Well, the main things that I did to stop from self-sabotage and overwhelm. So yeah, has anybody got any questions? I think I've rambled on enough. Any questions? I don't know, the live stream can be a little bit delayed, especially here in old Bali town with the old internet. I'm just looking up to see if anyone's had any questions. No, everyone's good. Okay guys, well I think that's about it. If you're watching the replay of this and you do have any comments or questions, or you want to know something, you want me to clarify something a bit deeper, just comment below and I'll be looking at it and I'll get back to you ASAP. So I'm going to try and do the next live stream, I think, that came up in the poll that you guys wanted, I think was how to do a daily mindset practice. So I'll do my next one on that. But if anyone's got anything else that they want me to do any live streams on, or they want to ask any questions, post in the group. I mean, that group, anyone can post. It's a group for all of us. It's not just the Lisa Nadler show, for God's sake. I mean, please get on there and post, and if you've had anything great happen, or you want to know anything, or anything's coming up, post in the group. I'd love to hear from you. Okay guys, well, if you're watching the replay, as I said, comment with any questions below, and I hope I've answered a little bit more about self-sabotage and overwhelm, and how we go into it, and steps you can do to actually overcome it. It's a big one. It is a real big one, and as I said, a lot of the times we don't even know we're in it, and we'll look back and go, how the fuck did I get here? You know, I was over there and everything was great. So just acknowledge it and and release it, and then just move on with one of the tools that I've gone through. And as I said, if you're not journaling at the moment, do it, because that's the biggest thing, is decluttering that mind of yours. So have a great day, night. What time is it here? 10 o'clock. I don't know what time it is wherever you are in the world. Have a great day, night, or afternoon. And remember, guys, master your mind, conquer your world. See you later.